Hey everybody, welcome back to Everyday Journey. Today I'm going to show you what you can find at a scrapyard. This is a 22 drawer filing cabinet. Well, actually I guess it was more for like index cards. I got this and I got another cabinet. Let me show you that real quick. So I also got this right here. This has got what, 1, 2, 3, 4 drawers, and it rolls around. It actually has the cover, so you can close it up, and everything on it works. Only issue with this one was that somebody had bumped it into this corner here and caused it to where it dented in and made it to where the drawers couldn't close very well or couldn't open very well. So I dented that back out or bent it back out. It's also got some cosmetic things. They put something on here to put a pipe through so they could actually lock it. Put this on here so that they could lock it. So different things, and but it actually works. I mean, it functions. So if I wanted to, I could take some Bondo or something and patch that dent, give it a good sandblasting or something, or just sand it down and then give it a good paint job, and this would be fine. So let's get back to the other part. The main issue I've got here is that 22 drawer filing cabinet. So you might ask, what were the problems with this thing? First off, it's got a little bit of rust on it, which is no big deal. Probably don't even have to address that. Second, it actually had the couple of the drawers. They were bent in at the top and caused it to where you couldn't even open it up. I was able to pull all these out and solve that problem, just bent it back. But there's some other issues with it too. Here is one of the drawers, and this actually has independent drawers. I mean, you can pull them out as one, or you can actually pull it out and lift one at a time out. So this one, I don't know, somebody mangled it. I will most likely just try my best to bang this out. I think I can, and it can still be usable. It'll still be usable either way. I may just end up having to use it on the bottom so that I can't, so that's not going to hold that much, and probably won't be used that much on the bottom. One of the other issues is because this is meant for a card catalog, it actually has these slides that slide in and out, and it slides forwards and backwards on it so that you can keep everything upright. And this one right here was bent. I tried to bend it back and it kind of broke a little bit, or it was about to break. It's no big deal. I could probably go ahead and weld it, but I don't see myself really using these anyway, so maybe that I'll just collect all of these out of here and put it to the scrapyard, get some of my money back. So the main problem with this, the biggest problem with this, although it's somewhat easy to fix, is that this back here, see if you can see this, there's actually an upright that goes all the way up and down on each side, and one, it helps kind of support the stabilize this whole thing, and then two, it actually holds the back end of each one of these drawer slides. So the problem with it is that it's actually was spot welded to the side, and that spot weld all the way up, every single one of those spot welds was really weak and came loose. It didn't pull away the metal or anything like that, but it just came loose. So could it be used like this? Probably. It probably was used like this for a long time, but I want to fix it because I'd like it to be actual, in good working condition. And two, when it's not welded to the side, it actually can drop down a little bit. So this back corner over here is actually down probably maybe somewhere between a ½ inch and an inch. So all the drawers would be lopsided that way. So I had to figure out how to get into this thing and actually get to that part. So I'll show you what I found. Alright, so you can see here, as the slide goes forward, it hits there in the back. This little tab right here was actually bent all the way down. Now I bent it up even further than this so that I could get it to slide out. When I did that, I realized how this thing was really put together. Currently I bent it back down a little bit, although I can't bend it back down any further or else it will break. So that may be an issue I have to address later, but for now it looks like it's going to work like it is. What I did realize after this thing was out is that there are actually two places right here where this slides down, two little grooves that it slides down into. So without breaking this any further, the best way to do it was to actually put a screwdriver right in here, bend this out a little bit, because there's also a tab that sticks out just a little bit, and as it drops down it slides into a slot and locks it in. So I had to pry it out just a little bit so it cleared that slot, and then lift up on the whole thing and it would come out of this track here. Okay. So you can just barely see it, but here are the actual slots that goes into. Here are the pieces that go into there, and then right here, right on top, is the little bit that sticks out, and it actually will lock itself in to I believe this hole right here, right to the very top of this hole. Whenever it goes back in, before it does, I'm going to bend this back, and then whenever I do put it back in, it will lock like it's supposed to and be free and clear from hitting anything on this drawer roller. So in the back though is kind of the similar thing, except for it slides forwards. So you can see back there's a slot that this right here slides into. So you slide this in and then you push the front down into the front slots. And that's how I got it apart. And I think I'll be able to get it back together fairly easily and actually have everything function. So let me get it all apart and see if we can't fix the problem with that one track. So this is the piece completely out of there. As you can see, this right here, that's one of the spot welds. There's absolutely nothing. It didn't even penetrate that. There's no way that actually welded anything. And then I'll go ahead and pan down. Hopefully this doesn't get too wobbly and shaky. But as you can see, none of the spot welds. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. Those are not too bad. They actually at least did weld a little. That one too. But then we get further down here, and you can see that one. It didn't weld at all. And so on and so forth. It just keeps going. These really should have been welded to it. I don't know what the deal was, why it didn't actually weld, but it didn't weld to it, so the whole thing just let loose. So I've got to find a way to get it back on there. I'm going to go ahead and weld it, but in the case that you guys were doing something like this, similar repair, it doesn't actually have to be welded. You could just line it all up and then just drill through and put some screws in there, some small bolts or something. Nothing's going to get in the way as far as I can tell, and that should fix the problem. I'm going to go ahead and weld it just because I don't have that much practice welding, and I'd like to go ahead and do that. Alright, so you can see my setup here. I put it up on its side. Got a jack in here that's actually pressing it down because it's not exactly flat. But it's pressing it down, and I will tack weld and then move on to the next spot and then tack weld it and keep going until I've got it all down. Well, until I've got it all pressed together and welded together as I go. So here's my weld job. It's not pretty, but I think it's going to hold now. I was having an issue with it sticking, so I just welded a whole bunch just to make sure that I got a good hold. As you can see back down here, it was letting go some of the time, so but I got it really well on the end, and I made sure to get it all through the middle, so I think it's going to hold just fine. Alright, so what I'm doing with these is these are the ends where I bent it. You can see it a little bit there. It's pretty easy to bend, so I'm just straightening it back up with a pair of pliers, and then I go through and grease all the bearings, well, oil them. Got some 80 weight oil. That looks pretty straight right there. Then I check it, make sure that it still slides out like it should. I just set it up here, drip a little 80 weight oil onto the actual bearings, because it has been sitting out in the weather a little bit. That's why you can see there's a little bit of surface rust. But yeah, just put it into the bearings, spin it around. I'm doing that with all of them, and then I'll put them back in. Well, we've run into a little bit of a hiccup. It seems like that rail was put in a little too far forward, so it's making it to where all the rails don't want to go in properly. So I may have to do some modification to each of the rails to make that work, but it still should work. It's just sheet metal. If we need to, we can kind of cut it, bend it however we need to make it work. Alright, so here was my solution. I just took this, put it in the vise, and I actually took a cold chisel and hammered this slot, chiseled this slot back here a little deeper towards the front. And then I just hammered this back in place. This part in the back is not really critical. All it's doing is just supporting the weight in the back of the drawer. The ones in the front, these here, these are actually supporting the weight in the front, and they're keeping it from going forwards and backwards. This is just something to be able to slide it into and support the weight up and down, and that's it. And the reason why I modified these, or this one back here, is because one, it was probably easier, but two, the front is actually the critical position. So the back doesn't really matter so much. The front just has to be in those same spots so that the drawers close right where they should be, and they can latch so they won't fall, slide forward. So now I just have to do that with all these. It seems to work just fine. Alright, so there we go. Got the whole thing done except for this drawer. I've got a place for it in the bottom that it needs to go. As you can see, it's still dented all to crap. So it's going to take me a little bit to actually get that back into the correct shape, but everything looks pretty good. Everything functions like it should. And I don't know, I kind of like it. This thing, the whole reason why I got it is because I knew that these things were probably expensive. I did find two places. One of them was somebody selling something on eBay out of Colombia, and they wanted like $300 for it. And then of course the shipping would be crazy coming from Colombia. There was another one that had sold, I guess it was on Etsy or something like that. It had sold, and it was listed for $600. So yes, this one's not new looking, but currently it functions except for this one drawer. So the fact that I only paid about $106 was a really good deal for me. Yeah, it did take me a little bit of time, and I could make it look even nicer if I went ahead and painted it or something like that, but I'm not going to. It's just got to function in here. It's got to give me a little bit more storage, organization. As you can see, I definitely could use the organization. But as soon as I get this one drawer done, I'll make a place for it over by my welder, and it will house a whole bunch of stuff. One other thing I want to do in the future is I want to actually build some dividers to go in here so that I can put some really small stuff. Most likely what it'll be is I'll just make it out of wood, and may even make like a whole drawer, just like an insert that goes in there. And the reason why is because this has got some grooves and stuff in the bottom where small things can actually get lost in it easily. So if I put like a really small flat piece of like paneling or something really thin, but yeah, it would give it a good bottom to it, but I don't even have to do that. Just as long as it's got the outline, that way I can actually put some dividers in there. I could currently, but they're not going to stay up, you know, so I'd need something to go along the sides. But like I said, it doesn't have to be structurally sound as far as that wood goes. It just has to be able to hold up and stay upright so that things don't make it fall over and it'll stay divided. But I can label each of the drawers however I want to. If need be, I can just open it up, take out the whole drawer, and take it to wherever I need to, if that's what I needed to do. So I kind of like it, and I think that it'll make a good addition to the shop. So give me a thumbs up if you guys like this project. Definitely hit up the scrap yards and things like that, because you can find things like this. I got a cart for my welder, and I found lots of other little things. And it's a great place to go, and you get things really cheap as long as they let the public come in there to buy things. But give me a thumbs up. Definitely give me a like. Subscribe if you thought this was interesting. Check out my other videos. And as always, I appreciate you watching.